Welcome to this next episode of YouTube, where I've entitled it More Snow Piles. And yes, believe it or not, we had to get the bobcat back into the enclosure and do more snow removal off the roof. And it is now March 11th, and theoretically in Minnesota they say March is our snowiest month, so we may not be done with this winter yet. So the wolves are obviously enjoying the piles. It gives them an opportunity to interact, and as the wind picks up here, sometimes the anxiety gets a little intense. And I think I might have used this clip last week, actually, or 2 weeks ago now, where Aiden just got a little bit tense, and he definitely asserts dominance over Denali. And you can see Luna right in there with him. Bolts kind of stays to the back. Again, Bolts is typically on the bottom of the rank order, but when he has an opportunity to move up, he will try to move up, and Aiden is clearly keeping Denali under control. So this male rank order seems to be settled out with Aiden at the top, Bolts in the middle, and Denali on the bottom, primarily because of Aiden keeping Denali in a low ranking spot. So when we want to do some work in the main enclosure, we have to draw the wolves off into the front of Grizzer's habitat. And so we do that with some treats. This is a deer head. Actually, they found this. Bolts was spending all of his time digging up Grizzer's caches, so that keeps him occupied while the bobcat work is done inside the enclosure. And yes, this is the snow that we're moving. So this is the second time we've had the bobcat in. As we pan back here, you'll actually see there's the roof. That's the pile of snow that came off the roof. And if we hadn't had the bobcat in, we would have had wolves on the roof. So it's a necessity here for us to be able to manage this. And obviously this is a big pile of snow, and this is something we haven't seen for a while here. And so it had to go somewhere, and so we're basically piling it adjacent to the pond. And then as soon as the bobcat's done, the wolves are back in. And here's Luna, just to give you a perspective of how tall this snow is. And she is on top, and she's feeling it. So she's definitely gets a lot of confidence. The taller you are, the more intimidating you are. So in Luna's world, she's feeling pretty good about herself. And we see no indication of problems with her to be mobile on those back legs, and that back right leg specifically. She can climb, she can dig, she can run, she slides down the hill, she launches herself at other wolves, she dominates Denali. She's physically doing great. So maybe this hill climbing episode has improved her manual dexterity or her joint related issues. But so you can see here, like I say, just how massive this pile is. This is a big building, and this snow is near the top. This is why we had to get it away from the front of the windows, and certainly the wolves are having a great time with it. If you're a visitor to the center and you come in June or July, who knows? It might still be here. This is a lot of snow that we're going to have to melt. So, as like you said, as you can see, the wolves kind of interact. Lots of top of the hill kind of interactions. Who go to the top? Typically, Aiden will rest on the top of the hill and watch the others. Luna and Bolts. This is Bolts on the left with his ears kind of timid. Will wrestle up there, but Luna tends to bring up food caches and defend things from up there. This past weekend we had a photography workshop here who hopefully had a lot of great opportunities photographing these wolves. They were very, very active on this pile and certainly enjoying themselves. So this is Luna tossing a deer hide, and certainly we see a lot of, like I say, resting behavior in odd kind of formations. They're digging, they're making little resting areas, they're laying on mounds of snow. But these young ones, and you can hear in the background, they're still chopping ice. So after the bobcat left, we had lots of ice dams, and so that left someone on the roof to chop. And you can see the young ones deal with it a little bit better. Aiden's pretty stressed here. He'd been in holding. That was stressful enough to be in a close confines with Luna over a deer head, and then come back out and have the noise, people still on the roof. It still is a little bit stressful. So we definitely, the older the animals are, the less tolerant they are of these external issues, such as being put in holding or having someone on the roof. Having somebody higher than they are is very intimidating to them. As you can see, wolves like high vantage points. They like to look down at things. When humans especially are looking down at them, makes them a little intimidated. So Aiden's going to paw at the ground here just in anxiety. But he does kind of settle down. But the problem with anxiety is with wolves is they tend to redirect. So we definitely had to watch that as the work was being finished. We usually try to have enough distractions in there to be able to keep the wolves from redirecting. And unfortunately for Denali, when Aiden gets stressed, he redirects to Denali. So, and Luna just joins right in as the dominant pair. They go assert some dominance. So it's harder on Denali than it is on anyone when we allow things like this to go on. We really didn't have a choice. We needed to get that snow off the roof. Snow is heavy, and you may hear in the Midwest here, we've had, in a lot of places, have had a lot of roof collapses this year because of the weather. So we recognize that, and when we're watching these kind of things, we're watching for interactions, and we want to make sure that we can try to calm things down. Speaking of calm, in Grizzer's world, he doesn't have the competition of fellow pack members, so he always gets full massages. Denali's not likely to get those because to put Denali in a subordinate posture in front of the other wolves can often means that they kind of jump on him, but Grizzer doesn't have that problem. He gets the full attention of wolf care and the full massage. And then after that, we didn't get video of it, but then there's time to chase. And so he does the race around the enclosure with the wolf care staff there, just kind of running up to him, chasing. And then the March sun is pretty warm, so he gets a chance to lay in that straw bed on top of the snow and sleep for a bit. So that's he's doing well, and he really didn't bother too much with the bobcat work there. Over at retirement, they usually aren't too bothered as well, but we're dealing with a little Malik issue lately. This is Malik, and we don't know what it is. He just does not seem right, meaning he's a little lethargic. He's not his usual kind of get involved in a lot of things, steal a hat kind of Malik. He's staying to the back of the enclosure, kind of doing a lot more resting in the back, not interacting with staff. He hasn't stolen my hat in a week, so we usually know something's up. And at 14, we want to be very, very responsive. Any subtle change at this age can be an indicator of some other problems. So we're kind of watching that. He's been off food a little bit, but he's now started to take some chicken. So we obviously at this age, we always have a good supply of external or other supplemental meats that we can give them. On the other hand, Shadow is not feeling under the weather. Shadow's feeling pretty froggy. So this is Shadow coming around the den here, and I can barely keep up with him. That could be the reason why Malik's not feeling very well. When Shadow feels good, he typically asserts some dominance. So after the second round, I didn't want to make you nauseous with the camera, but Shadow on the left got a spring in his step. Malik on his right, not so much. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And again, they're going to be 14 in May, and we always watch that interaction between these two. So that's it for this week's YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.